Hey everyone, welcome to our Friday live stream. I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm testing out new live stream software, and my very awesome tech geek husband is helping me get this one up to speed. There's his thumb. But right before we clicked to go live, I moved my office down to our basement a few weeks ago. I think I shared this on social media, and sun is like streaming through the window right now, and the camera got too hot and went zoop. So there you go. We're figuring out as we go. Before I get to this week's pages and talk through what's going to be next, I first of all just want everybody to tell me how you're doing, how the week's been, and I really want to hear what you have thought of writing this short Bake Shop Mystery spin-off together. I know that I've said it a zillion times, but I have been having so much fun writing this with you. And I think the thing that is so surprising is how each week it's come together. I know I've shared before that when I actually sit down to write a mystery, I spend so much time thinking about plot and structure, and whatever camera you're using is amazing. Oh, yay! Anyway, I spend so much time working on plot and structure that I just was not sure when we started this whether it would actually come together, and it is. Hi, Genevieve. Hi, Rana. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm super excited to share this week's pages, and we're kind of nearing the end of this project, which is why I wanted to do a live chat today to sort of talk through what's gonna come next. But first of all, tell me how your week's been. Has anybody done anything fabulous at home? We are getting out for lots of walks here in Ashland. It's really sunny, as I mentioned. Yesterday it was 95 and humid, which is no good. Hi, Claire. Hi from England. Hi, Flossie. Oh, Patty, I'm so glad that you're having fun. I'm loving every bit of it. It's raining in New York. You're trying to plot out your next book. Rain is a perfect time to plot books, I think. Absolutely. Hi, Susan. Thanks for being here. Hi, Sarah. It's so fun to see your faces because I feel like I know you all. And I have seriously been loving all your ideas and suggestions. So great. We're inching next to like who the killer's gonna be. You went to the nearest town to go shopping, Patty? Ooh, that's exciting. I was saying, growing up, one of my favorite series was Little House on the Prairie. And I remember just that idea of Laura and Mary and Carrie and anyone like running to the window when someone would come down, you know, on a horse and buggy or whatever. And I feel like that now if the UPS driver shows up, we're all like, oh, somebody's in our driveway. Oh, this is so exciting. Hi, Joseph. I'm glad you're loving writing this book. I am too. Honestly, when I first set out to do this, I thought we just need a distraction from everything that is the world right now. And I just honestly am stunned at how well it's worked because I wasn't sure. I thought we might just end up with this like mishmash of ideas, but you all are brilliant plotters, and I'm serious. I think we're gonna have a whole new crop of super sleuths after this. All right, on that note, shall we get to our new pages? I'm gonna read part 10. Can you believe we're already at part 10? I'm gonna read part 10. And then I'm gonna give you your assignment for this week. And then after that, I, in my very formal way, wrote up just a brief description of our four suspects, because soon we need to start figuring out who the killer is. So we're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna talk about what's next, and I'll answer questions. Hi, Lily, thanks for being here at the end. But without further ado, let's get to part 10. Oh wait, before I'll say that to Trisha. Yeah, oh, I'm loving that. See, that's the gift. I feel like everybody should write their own story. So yay, I'm glad this is helping and inspiring you. It should. Okay, on we go to part 10. You know, this system does let you have sound effects. So for future lives, get ready, because you know how I always like to say dun dun dun. Oh, there you go. Oh, we can add applause? Okay, perfect. Perfect. We'll add applause. We'll add some sinister, scary music. All right, here we go, part 10. I'm glad you asked, the professor replied with a hint of a smile. I believe we are quite close to revealing the killer. I should have the final documentation needed to make an arrest tomorrow. In the meantime, I intend to head home and write a special script for you. If you're willing, I could use your help with a special performance at the Merry Windsor in the morning. Are you game? Am I game? I was born for this, I gestured with my hands. Rest assured you will get my very best work. I have no doubt about that. The professor turned to Juliet. How do you feel about being involved in this? Are you willing to put on a little show with Lance? Yes, of course. Anything you need, but I'm confused. Why us, and what's the script? The professor took a long sip of water. It's best if I don't elaborate at this point, not only for your protection, but because, as I said, there are a few loose ends that must be tied up before we can proceed. What I can tell you is that the killer will be present for your performance tomorrow morning. Assuming that I can massage the script in the right direction, I am confident that there will be a confession. The professor stood. I must excuse myself. Shall we reconvene here around 9 to go over the script and your critical roles? Sure. Juliet wrapped up some extra scones for him to take with him. I finished my wine. Well, the plot thickens, I said after she walked him to the door. Yeah, what do you think the script could say? Darling, who knows? Frankly, I don't care. I'm thrilled that we'll be a part of it. I glanced at the clock. On that note, it's getting late, and we both need our beauty sleep if we're to perform bright and early. Juliet gathered our dishes. Agreed. I'm exhausted. I'll clean up and head home. See you here in the morning? Can I help with the dishes? Her jaw hung open, and she cracked up. You doing dishes? Now that I would like to see. I pretended to be injured. That's the thanks I get? Juliet swatted my shoulder. Go home, Lance. I'll see you in the morning. Darkness had fallen over the plaza. Golden yellow street lamps illuminated the sidewalk. I was glad for my cashmere coat and scarf. Had it really only been a few hours earlier that our ill-fated happy hour had begun? I walked toward the scene of the crime with my hands tucked into my pockets. Thankfully, there wasn't anything I needed to finish at the theater. I simply needed to grab my car keys and lock up for the night. Police vehicles were still parked in front of the Merry Windsor, and an officer stood guard on the porch, directing guests inside. There was no sign of Richard, Toni, Hank, or Brady. I wondered if the professor had sent them all home for the night as well. As I turned to make my way up the Shakespeare stairs, I heard the sound of voices near the entrance to Lithia Park. Speak of the devil. Richard and Toni stood blocking the park entrance. Not that it mattered. The park certainly wasn't getting much use at this time of night. What was interesting was their tone. Richard, please, don't do this to me, dearest. You know I absolutely adore you. You're the love of my life. I will do anything to save our engagement and our future happiness. Toni dropped to her knees. Look at me. I'm down on my knees, begging and pleading. You have to believe me. I will absolutely die if you leave me. You can't just cast me out. You told me that you loved me. You told me that you wanted to marry me. Remember what that means, Richard. Marriage means in good times and bad times. This is a bad time. That's all. Her shrill voice was nearly piercing. I had to resist rubbing my finger in my ear. Richard stood unmoved. He didn't speak. I had never seen Richard Lord at a loss for words. Say something, Toni demanded. She stood up. Listen, Richard, just tell me what I need to do. I'll do anything to keep you. Richard held out his hand. Give me the ring, Toni. What? She screeched. The ring? You want the ring back? He kept his hand out. Give it to me now. She gave it one last go. I had to give her credit for trying. Please, Richard, not the ring too. Hand it over, Toni. She yanked the ring from her finger, slapped it in his open palm, and thrust her finger in his face. You're making a huge mistake, Richard Lord. The biggest mistake of your life. With that, she turned and stormed toward the calle. Richard clasped his hand around the ring. For the first time ever, I felt sorry for the dreaded Mr. Lord. Against my better judgment, I approached him. Richard, is that you? He startled and stuffed the ring into his plaid pocket pants. Lance, I didn't see you. Oh, heading up to the office, I pointed behind me to the stairs. Is that Toni crossing the street? I played dumb. He didn't turn in her direction. Yep. Richard, forgive me for the intrusion, but is everything okay? He hung his head. Toni and I just broke up. I gasped. No, say it isn't so. What happened? You two seemed like such a match. Richard cleared his throat. I learned something about her tonight. Something not good. What? Okay, there it is. Part 10. What do you think? How are you feeling about it? Okay, so, that's funny. Patty says one problem with stretching this out is losing track of the story. Me too. I've had to go back and be like, okay, so that's what we're gonna do next. I wanna give you your first assignment, and then we're gonna go through our list of suspects and talk about each of their motives, and then you're gonna start thinking about who the killer could be. Okay, so your first assignment is, what did Richard just learn about Toni? What's the big reveal that made him demand the ring back? That's your assignment for this weekend. Same project rules apply. I want you to get creative, work into those beautiful plotting minds, and start sharing your suggestions. You have until the end of the day, Sunday. And then as always, I will compile 5 potential directions that we will share out on Monday, and we'll vote again. Okay, does that make sense? You're all good so far? Okay, so next up, let me answer a question first. I'll answer Patty's question. Patty says, when you start a book, do you already know the killer? And the answer is yes. I always start from the murder and I work my way back. So this has been a totally different process for me from a writing perspective, because I have never sort of written blindly like we are now, where I don't know where things are going either. When I start a book, I have a very clear blueprint and direction where I'm going. I know who the killer is. I know who all my suspects are. So this is the opposite of it. And it's been fun for me because it's kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone too, which is fabulous. Okay. Lily has another question. I'm going to come back to questions in a minute. Let's do some more at the end. But for the short term, let's move on and do a quick recap of our suspects and what we know about all of them, okay? So suspect number 1, we have Brady. Here's what we know about Brady. He delivered Peter the drink. Brady was actually the character who handed Peter the drink that then ultimately led to his demise. Brady also knew that Peter couldn't cook, and we learned that Brady is actually quite the chef himself and has been covering for Peter's lack of cooking skills. And lastly, this is an important one, we know that Brady was aware of the fact that Peter was funneling funds. He was definitely skimming from the top of Richard Lord's kitchen budget, okay? So that's Brady. Then we have suspect number 2, Hank. Here's what we know about Hank so far. Hank had a huge argument with Peter. Lance witnessed that right away after his first meeting. We overheard Lance overheard Hank claim that he was going to poison Peter. That's some scary motive right there. His words were, "I know what you did and you're not getting away with this." Okay. And lastly, we know that Hank was in the kitchen when the champagne was poured. Hank shouldn't have been in the kitchen. He should have been at the front desk. So we don't really know why Hank was in the kitchen. All right, next up on our potential list of suspects, we have Toni. We know that Toni was initially furious with Richard for hiring Peter. Lance, at the beginning of our short, stumbles upon Toni and Peter plotting something. Toni claims it needs to be done tonight, even though Peter tells her that he hasn't gotten something signed. Toni doesn't care. She says it's happening tonight no matter what. And we also know that Toni and Peter have some kind of a past connection. Okay? All right, and then last but not least, our fourth suspect is none other than the dreaded Richard Lord himself. Here's what we know about Richard. Richard announced his engagement to Toni right before the murder. He claims that he hired a real French chef, but it's obvious that Peter's not a French chef. And he also has a very obvious motive since Peter has been stealing from him. And then last and perhaps an important clue is that Richard's name isn't actually on the deed that was found to the Mary Windsor. Are you with me? Is everybody caught up? Are you feeling it? Okay. So your second task, first you're going to be thinking about why Richard has broken up with Toni. What did he learn? And then the second thing that I want you to just start thinking about are these four suspects and who you think the most likely killer is. We're going to be wrapping up our story in the next couple weeks. We're going to end this the week before Nothing But Trouble comes out. So it's going to be the third week of June. So we have 3 more parts left. So leading into next week's pages, we want to have a clear sense of who the killer is. Then we'll have a big reveal, and then we'll have a little wrap up. Just the same plot structure that happens in a traditional mystery. Ours is just condensed in a shorter version. You don't have to share yet who you think, but I want you to be thinking through all of those suspects, their motives, their interactions, their shady behavior, and think about who you want the killer to be. On Monday, I will be putting that out for a vote again, and we'll have a clear direction of where the big reveal is going. How does that sound? Is that clear? Do you have questions? Okay, so those are your 2 assignments. And then switching gears, I'll answer some questions based on comments here in a second, but I also want to ask you about this process. I know that you've enjoyed it, but tell me, if you would like to do it again. I'm contemplating doing one again soonish. Perhaps we could do a Sloan version, maybe a midsummer Sloan, where we head up to Leavenworth and we do a spinoff together again. If you're interested in doing one again, I would also just love to hear feedback about what you liked about this process. If there are things that you think we could improve upon or change, hit me with your ideas and suggestions, or with any other questions, some of which I will answer right now. I have to look down for that. Lily, yeah, okay. Lily Ann says, when you write, how do you get rid of all the fluff? Not to make it sound like you're a chatty Cathy going on and on and on with too much information. That is a great question. I think that there needs to be that balance. For me, when I write first drafts, they're just paper, cardboard. They don't have any of that fluff. It's just basically something to get the plot on the page and move the story forward. So for me as a writer, I add all the fluff later. And I think that helps because my initial drafts are so sparse that usually I have to work on adding a little bit more fluff in. I call it layering. So as I'm working through a book, I'm adding in the food for the Bake Shop Mysteries, or maybe I'm trying to describe the beauty of Ashland's hills and pastoral valleys after I've already written the mystery. I think that helps. Okay, let's see. Diana asks, is Pierre Peter the only murder victim? Yes, we only have one victim in this, Peter. He drank that champagne early on in our story, and sadly now it's our job to figure out who has done the dirty deed. So that's your guys' job. We don't have time, unfortunately, because this is a short. I was looking, I think at current count, also, in the world of COVID, I realized that I still always lick my fingers when I turn pages. It's no good. We're at 45 pages for our short right now. I'm going to show you the whole thing, if I can put it together with the new pages. That's pretty thick for a short. So I think that our final version, if we do 3 more rounds after this, is going to come in, I don't know, somewhere probably around like 55, 60 pages. So that's good for a short, but we don't have enough time or space to kill off anyone else at this stage. Okay, let's see. Joseph, I love it. Joseph asks, can we really make Richard Lord the killer? He's a regular. I mean, that's for you to decide. I obviously have some thoughts on this. I was thinking last night when I was putting the finishing touches on these pages, if you all vote to kill off Richard, that this short is going to have to be somewhere in the arc of the storyline, like later on, because Richard's definitely in the next couple books in the series. So he can't be in jail yet, but yeah, I don't know. Richard is always shady, but he's a character who I personally love to hate. And I think over the course of the series, we've learned a few little nuggets that show that every once in a while he has like a tiny sliver of redemption, maybe. Okay, I was saying to Genevieve, is there a way that you can catch up? Yes, you can go to my blog. I have all of the pages there. I've also read them all on YouTube, and those videos are embedded there. So you can definitely catch up, and we would love it if you would keep participating. All right, Trisha says yes to Sloan. Okay, good. I'm thinking that could be fun. Diana's asking about our assignments. The first assignment is to figure out why Richard broke up with Toni. The second assignment is to start thinking about who you want the killer to be. And I will be posting these today too, so it will be clear. I'm gonna share pages, as always, on my blog, and I will record them again too for anyone who missed this. Yes, I'd highly recommend, if you need to get caught up, go back and read it all again. I do that when I'm writing a regular draft, and I've been doing that all the time with this just because we are going into this sort of abyss of unknown as we write this together, so it's been fun. 80 degrees in Texas, Karen. See, that seems hot. That's cool for Texas. I love it. And then, yeah, start thinking about what's coming next. I'm gonna be excited. My vision is that the last chapter in this experience will be the actual brunch. We'll showcase the food. And I did want to let you know, I'm thinking about how I'm gonna share it. I know that I'll share it, some way like this. We're working on seeing if we can release it as a free ebook. I've got lots of ideas. Oh, Flossie's asking, which is the favorite of your books? It's hard to pick a favorite because they're almost like my children. I get so attached to each book that it's hard to pick a favorite. However, I'm gonna do a video, I think probably next week, to kind of give you a primer on Nothing But Trouble, the book that's coming out at the end of June. That's the 11th book in the Bake Shop Mysteries. And for me, this book it resonated so deeply. I think because through the series, Jules has been working on trying to figure. Oh my goodness. Okay, my camera apparently does not want me to answer any more questions. I think I'm just gonna wrap this one up because obviously my camera is just overheating so much. But we'll talk more. I will definitely tell you so much more about Nothing But Trouble. I want to share why that one is near and dear. Okay, I'm wrapping it up because my camera is telling me that I have to be done. Sorry about my technical difficulties. Give me those assignments by the end of the weekend, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Hopefully, next time I do a live, it's not gonna be 95 degrees. Enjoy your weekend, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, happy plotting.